My girlfriend chose her squad over me. Months later, the squad fell apart, and she demanded I come back. I gave her 30 seconds to leave. I thought relationships were meant for two people, but mine always felt like it came with 4 extra. My 27-year-old self had been with Jennifer, 25, for nearly 2 years, and while I once believed we had something special, lately it seemed like I was dating her entire squad instead of just her. We moved in together 6 months ago, split the bills and chores evenly, and tried to build a life. But with Linnea, Cassian, Mireille, and Dorian constantly in the picture, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd become just another name on her group chat. And then came the last straw. For the last time, my 27-year-old male girlfriend and 25-year-old female chose her friendship over our relationship. I am done. I don't know where to begin with this mess. I've been with Jennifer for nearly 2 years, and I felt we had something special. We moved in together 6 months ago and split everything, even the housework, evenly. But now, I feel like I'm dating 5 individuals rather than one. Here is the thing. Jennifer has a close circle of friends, including Linnea, Cassian, Mireille, and Dorian. They name themselves the squad without irony, and they basically do everything together. Group discussions are active 24 hours a day, with matching Halloween costumes. At first I thought it was nice that she had such close pals. Now I'm wondering if I'm even in a relationship, or if he's simply paying half the rent. The breaking point occurred last weekend. Our 2-year anniversary was approaching, and I had planned the entire evening. We made reservations at the venue where we had our first actual date. I got tickets to see the band she's been obsessed with. Nothing outrageously pricey, but thoughtful items. I discovered her in the living room, looking through Instagram stories about her friends' weekend adventures. "Hey, so I've got something special planned for our anniversary next Saturday," I said as I sat down next to her. She looked up from her phone and I swear her expression was as if I had informed her someone had died. "Oh." She slowly laid the phone down. "Oh babe, that's the same night as Mireille's birthday pregame. You know I can't miss that." My stomach dropped slightly, but I tried to seem calm. "Well, what if you asked them if you could reschedule for Friday night or Sunday?" She was already shaking her head before I finished speaking. No, you don't understand. Mireille specifically planned it for Saturday because it's literally the only night everyone can make it. Cassian's got that big work conference starting Sunday. And Linnea's been so stressed with her new job that she really needs this, and Dorian just broke up with that girl he was seeing, so he needs us right now too. I observed her expression as she spoke, and she became more passionate, as if she was warming up for her argument. "We really need this night, Rowan. The group hasn't been together properly in weeks." "But it's our anniversary," I protested, and I hated how little my voice sounded. "This only happens once a year. You can see your friends literally any other time." That was when her entire demeanor shifted. She sat back, crossed her arms, and gave me the look that suggested I was being completely unreasonable. "Love can wait, but friendship can't. They were here before you, and they'll be here after." I was simply staring at her. The words struck me like a physical blow. They'll be here after. Not if something happens to us, not, God forbid, that we break up. But a casual matter-of-fact after, as if our breakup had already been scheduled between next month's group vacation and Linnea's birthday party. Despite everything we've accomplished together, I'm still just a transitory fixture that can be rescheduled around brunch arrangements. This is not the first time either. Instead of celebrating my master's graduation, she attended Cassian's housewarming celebration. My brother's wedding was last month, and she was too fatigued from a 3-day celebration with the squad to come as my +1. Jennifer was unable to visit my mother while she was in the hospital for surgery because it interfered with their weekly game night. However, she expects me to drop everything when she wants something. Last month she called me at 2 a.m. to pick her up from a dive bar across town since Dorian was too drunk to drive safely. When I arrived, she barely greeted me and continued taking selfies with everyone while I stood there like an Uber driver, then spent the entire journey home discussing the drama between Linnea and some man from the pub. The worst aspect is how she discusses our connection with them. I overheard her on the phone with Mireille last week, talking about how I'm going through a jealous period and need to learn to share her time more effectively, as if I were an insecure teenager rather than her partner, who simply wants to feel like a priority at times. I tried to talk to her about balance and how relationships need to be nurtured. She always swears to do better, but then makes arrangements that exclude me. When I bring out the pattern, she accuses me of attempting to distance her from her pals. There is no victory. I'm writing from a coffee shop since I couldn't tolerate being in our apartment any longer. I spent the entire morning looking at places online. I found a decent one-bedroom around 20 minutes away that I can afford on my own. The leasing application is currently in my email drafts. I adore her, but I can't keep ranking 6th in my own relationship. My pals believe I should provide her an ultimatum, but honestly, I'm tired of begging people to spend time with me. Is it unreasonable to expect your girlfriend to occasionally want to be your girlfriend? Edit. Reading all of these answers has been very eye-opening. To everyone who has asked why I haven't just stopped it, you are correct. I keep hope she will recognize what she is doing, but she has made it clear where her priorities lie. I'm going to submit the rental application when I get home. Update 1. The original post blew up far more than I imagined. Thank you for all your help and suggestions. I wish I could say this story ended happily, with us working things out, but you'll see. So I submitted the rental application the same day. I got authorized within 48 hours, which felt like a sign. I spent the next week quietly transferring my belongings while Jennifer was out with the squad, which was convenient because it happened almost every day. By the time she recognized something was wrong, I had already relocated almost 80% of my belongings. She returned home at midnight on Thursday night, having allegedly gone to a new rooftop bar that Dorian wanted to visit, and noticed that my gaming equipment was missing. I heard her yell my name from the living room, her voice rising with each room she examined. Rowan, what the hell is going on here? Where's all your stuff? She found me in our bedroom, packing up the remainder of my clothes. She remained at the doorway for a moment, inspecting the room as if she were taking inventory of what was missing. Are you moving out? Her voice cracked slightly with the last word. I gave her the letter I had written. I tried to make it simple and honest, saying that I needed to be with someone who wanted to prioritize our relationship, and that I couldn't continue to feel like an afterthought in her life. She read it quickly, then gradually, her eyes widening. She gazed up at me as if I were a stranger. You're seriously leaving me because I have friends? Because I won't ditch the people who have been there for me for years? I sat down on the edge of the bed, tired. Jennifer, it's not about you having friends. Then what is it about? She demanded, waving the letter. Because this whole thing reads like you want me to choose between you and everyone I care about. I want you to care about me too, I added quietly. I want to feel like I matter to you. Like our relationship matters. She looked at me as if I had suggested something insane. Of course you matter, but I can't just abandon my friends every time you want attention. I felt something twist in my chest. Jennifer, I asked you to spend one evening with me for our anniversary one, and I explained why. That night was important, more important than us. She flung her hands up. This is ridiculous, Rowan. You're throwing away 2 years because you can't handle me having a social life. You knew who I was when we started dating. I looked at her, really looked at her, and understood she did not comprehend. In her opinion, I was the problem. I was being unreasonable. I thought I knew who you were, I replied, rising up and shutting the bag. I thought you were someone who wanted to build something with me. I do want to build something with you, but not if it means cutting off everyone else in my life. I'm not asking you to cut them off. I'm asking you to make space for me too. But she was already shaking her head, and I could tell from her eyes that we were going in circles. She interpreted this as me being domineering. I viewed it as fundamental relationship upkeep. There was no middle ground that we both wanted to discover. After another 20 minutes of repeating the same arguments, I raised my hands. I'm done, Jennifer. I'm done arguing about this. Done arguing or done with us? Both. The finality in my speech appeared to strike her. Then her entire posture altered, as if she knew this wasn't just a conflict we'd gotten through. That's when things turned weird. She began following me throughout the apartment, detailing everything we'd done together and the memories we'd created. Even so, every other phrase mentioned her friends. Remember when we went to that concert and ran into Linnea and Cassian? What about the time we cooked dinner for the whole squad? It was as if she couldn't even imagine moments that were only about us. I promised her I'd return for the remainder of my belongings over the weekend when she was at Mireille's pool party, because of course, there was one. I left my key on the kitchen counter and walked out. But obviously leaving was not enough for her. Saturday morning, I'm in my new place, finally feeling like I can breathe again, when my phone starts acting up. Jennifer is phoning non-stop and sending paragraph-long texts about how we need to discuss things out like grown-ups. When I didn't respond, she started having the squad message me. Linnea sent me a long text about Jennifer's devastation and how I'm splitting up the family. Dorian called me immature for leaving instead of working things out. Cassian took a fair approach and suggested that we all meet to discuss matters. Even Mireille, with whom I'd had maybe 10 talks in 2 years, felt entitled to tell me I was making a mistake. The messages became increasingly hostile as the day progressed. Things like, "You're going to regret this, and Jennifer deserves better anyway." By Sunday evening, they were labeling me emotionally abusive for leaving her without notice, despite the letter I'd written explaining everything. Then Monday night occurred. I arrived home from work to see all 5 of them standing outside my new building. Jennifer was in the front, with the squad arranged behind her like an intervention team. As soon as she saw me, she began talking so loudly that neighbors looked out their windows. "We need to settle this right now. You don't get to just disappear and ignore everyone. We're all adults here." I assured them that there was nothing to settle. I'd made a decision. I had given my reasoning, and I was not changing my mind. That's when Dorian came forward with this gem. "Dude, you're being a selfish piece of, do you know how much you're hurting her? How much you're hurting all of us?" All of them. I questioned what I had done to hurt people I barely knew. Apparently by dating Jennifer, I had become a part of their family system, and leaving her meant abandoning all of them. You could only image my expression while listening to this pure rubbish. It was the most codependent thing I had ever heard. The entire situation seemed strange. Chloe was crying. Cassian kept attempting to mediate. Mireille was recording everything on her phone. For what? I have no idea. Jennifer just stood there nodding, as if this were all totally typical behavior. I gave them exactly 30 seconds to depart my home before calling building security. When they didn't move and kept asking me to figure things out like an adult, I went inside and did just that. Security appeared and requested them to leave, which they did, but not before Jennifer yelled that it wasn't over. It was 3 weeks ago. The calls and texts have now ceased, but I continue to receive messages from random numbers, most likely from people using someone else's phone. I doubt they would try to come to my building again. Building management is already aware of their presence. I don't regret leaving, but I'm amazed at how insane things became. Who takes their complete friend group to abuse their ex? What type of mature behavior is that? Update 2. Back with another update. I honestly didn't expect to be posting more about this subject, but it appears that life has a sense of humor. First and foremost, everything is going great on my end. The new apartment is amazing. Work has been busy but fulfilling, and I've been reconnecting with pals I'd neglected over the Jennifer years. It turns out that when you don't spend every weekend as the designated driver for someone else's social circle, you have more time for your own connections. Who knew? The true tragedy here, however, is what has happened to Jennifer and the infamous squad. My friend Callista works with Cassian, and it appears like the group dynamics have shifted. Remember how I said Cassian was becoming serious with his girlfriend Callista? Well, they got engaged 2 weeks ago. Callista has been vocal about her belief that the entire group setup is immature, and she has pushed Cassian to set better boundaries. Cassian, according to Callista, has been gradually withdrawing from the constant group activities, missing the weekly hangouts, responding to the group chat less frequently, and focusing on his romance instead. Sounds familiar? Jennifer appeared to lose it when Cassian stated he couldn't make their yearly weekend trip to the beach house since he and Callista had already booked a trip to see her parents. "You're becoming just like Rowan," she purportedly said, because God forbid that someone prioritizes their romantic relationship over weekend beach vacations. But things get better. Linnea received a raise at work that requires her to relocate to Portland. She's been attempting to schedule virtual hangouts and visits, but Jennifer's been icy about it all. Apparently she made a remark about how true friends do not leave the group for professional chances. Linnea naturally feels upset by this reaction to what should be positive news. Then there's the Mireille/Dorian dilemma. I never got the complete story while dating Jennifer, but apparently they've had an on and off relationship for years that everyone pretends isn't occurring. It's happening again, but this time they're serious enough to want to date rather than just hook up at group activities. Jennifer is not handling this well because it alters the group dynamic, and she is concerned about what would happen if they split apart. So let me get this straight. When I complained about being deprioritized, I was being controlling and selfish. But now, when she feels devalued by her friends, it's a tragedy, and everyone abandons her. The best thing, according to Callista's girlfriend, who is pals with her, is that Jennifer has been going around telling everyone that everyone is pulling a Rowan on her. Like wanting to mature and form adult relationships is some sort of betrayal epidemic that I initiated. I don't think she realizes that no one is taking her seriously anymore. Meanwhile, I'm having real fun for the first time in months. I went to a concert last weekend with some college pals I hadn't seen in forever. No group coordination is necessary. Nobody insisted on taking an Instagram snapshot every 5 minutes, And I wasn't forced to leave early because someone required emotional support for their newest drama. It was revolutionary. I've also been seeing somebody new. Nothing serious yet, but Alara is pleasant. She has close friends, but she recognizes that relationships require one-on-one time to develop. Isn't this a novel concept? We had supper Friday night, just the two of us, and she didn't look at her phone once. It didn't occur to me how odd that was till later. But this is when things become really fascinating. 3 days earlier, I received an SMS from Jennifer. This is the first direct interaction since the apartment building confrontation. Hey, I know things ended badly between us, but I've been doing a lot of thinking. Maybe we could grab coffee sometime. I feel like we both said things we didn't mean. What the hell? I just sat there staring at my phone for about a minute, after months of pure stillness, and now this. It felt like being sucker punched out of nowhere. I did not react right away, but she sent another one yesterday. I know I made mistakes. I was young and didn't understand how to balance everything, but I've been learning and growing, and I think we could try again if you're open to it. I showed Callista the texts, and he simply chuckled. Jennifer apparently received word that I've been doing well, that I'm seeing someone new, and that I appear to be truly happier. Callista believes she is discovering that having a loyal lover was not such a bad thing after all. However, the timing is quite significant, as her buddy group is gradually evolving, and she is confronted with the truth that people grow up, and their priorities shift. She has suddenly expressed a desire to reconsider our relationship. Where was all this learning and growing as I begged her to understand my emotions for 2 years? I am not replying to your mails. I do not owe her a coffee date or the opportunity to explain herself. I spent 2 years trying to convince her to understand what I needed from a partnership, but she constantly dismissed those demands. I'm not interested in being her fallback plan now that her major social structure is shifting. Edit. Some folks are wondering if I believe she has truly changed, or if this is purely for convenience. Honestly, it doesn't matter. Even if she has gained some knowledge about relationships, I have moved on. I'm creating something fresh with someone who already knows what a partnership looks like. Why would I go backwards? Final update. This is probably my final article regarding the subject, but I wanted to relate how things ended because so many of you have been following along. The Jennifer text messages persisted for about a week following my previous update. Nothing forceful or manipulative, rather she was looking for the ideal combination of words to elicit a response from me. Some highlights. I finally understand what you meant about balance. I see it now. The group isn't the same anymore. I think I was using everyone to avoid dealing with real intimacy. I miss talking to you, not even about getting back together, just talking. The last one almost got me. We used to have amazing chats, particularly early in our relationship. But I recalled myself that good discussion does not imply good relationship, and I remained mute. Things came to a head last Tuesday. Alara and I were having dinner at this downtown Italian restaurant when I noticed Jennifer, Dorian and Mireille sitting at a corner table. Cassian and Linnea were noticeably absent. Cassian was apparently attending a couple's event with his fiancée, while Linnea was already in Portland settling into her new life. Jennifer noticed me before I could recommend we go. Our gazes met across the restaurant, and I could see her considering whether to come over. Alara observed my tenseness and asked whether everything was fine. I briefly stated the problem. She was aware of my ex's attempts to contact me, but she was unaware of the entire extent of the situation. To her credit, Jennifer did not cause a scene. She gave me a little wave before appearing to engage in an animated conversation with Dorian and Mireille. I thought that was the end of it. However, when Alara and I were leaving, Jennifer approached us near the exit. Rowan, hey, I don't want to interrupt your evening, but could I talk to you for just a minute? Alara clasped my hand and said she'd wait by the car. Probably the most gracious manner anyone has ever approached meeting their partner's ex. Jennifer looked different. Perhaps you're tired, or simply getting older. She started talking swiftly, as if she had practiced it. I know you haven't been responding to my messages, and I understand why. I just wanted to say that you were right about everything. About the balance, about priorities, about what a real relationship should look like. I see Cassian with Callista, and I watch how they support each other, and I realize I never did that with you. I told her I appreciated her saying that, but it didn't change anything between us. I know I'm not asking for another chance. I just needed you to know that I understand now. And I'm sorry, really, genuinely sorry for how I treated you and how I reacted when you left. It was the first time she'd apologized without qualification or explanation. She looked over to Alara in the parking lot and smiled sadly. She seems lovely. I hope she appreciates what she has. And that was all. She returned to her table. I went to my car, and Alara inquired if I was all right. I realized I really was. The ironic conclusion to all of this. I learned from Callista that the squad is nearly finished. Cassian is completely dedicated to his new life with Callista, and he seldom speaks to the gang anymore. Linnea adores Portland and has found acquaintances through work. Mireille and Dorian are now dating, but it appears that they want to get away from the group dynamic that has complicated their lives for so long. Jennifer has been trying to keep the group together by organizing activities and sending wistful messages about the good times. However, you cannot force people to continue in a dynamic that they have outgrown. She is learning what I tried to tell her months ago. That all partnerships involve reciprocal investment and understanding. When people believe they cannot be real or pursue their own growth, they leave. As for me and Alara, things are going well. She met some of my friends last weekend, and everything went smoothly. Nobody felt they had to perform or compete for attention. Just grown-ups hanging around and getting to know one another. She's mentioned taking a weekend trip together next month, just the two of us. The fact that this appears normal and exciting rather than selfish or threatening reveals everything I need to know about the distinction between healthy and unhealthy relationship patterns. I don't have any nasty wishes for Jennifer. I hope she can figure out how to make connections without jeopardizing other essential relationships. But I'm pleased I had the fortitude to leave when I did. Sometimes the finest thing you can do for yourself is refuse to accept being treated as an option.